You know, it's easier sometimes to understand what I'm talking about when you get outside of Washington. When you get outside of Washington, you get a sense that the American people understand why Washington isn't working. You know, one of the best days that I've had in this campaign so far was a trip I took to Oakland, California, because the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, had organized every presidential candidate to walk in the shoes of one of their members for a day. And so I woke up at 5 in the morning in Oakland, and I went over to the house of a 61-year-old woman named Pauline Beck, who's a home care worker. And when I got there, she was already up fixing breakfast for 2 foster children who don't have families of their own and that she's taken in. And then we went over and we went to the home of an 86-year-old amputee named John Thornton. And that morning we did what Pauline Beck does every single morning of her life, which is to help this man get out of bed and put on his prosthetic leg and help him get dressed and change the soiled sheets and scrub the floors and fix him breakfast, looking after this man so that he can stay in the home and the community where he's lived all these years, so he's not cut off from all his neighbors and his friends, so that he doesn't die alone. And listening to this humble woman talk about the hardships of her life without a trace of self-pity, just glad to be of some service to somebody, just hoping that maybe she could get a little more pay to take care of those 2 foster kids, just hoping that maybe she could have a little more security in her retirement, just hoping that maybe she could get a day off once in a while. I was reminded about why I got into public service over 2 decades ago. I was reminded about why I had become a community organizer to work with folks who had been laid off of steel plants on the south side of Chicago. I was reminded of what politics should be about, because there are millions of Pauline Becks all across the country. There are thousands of Pauline Becks in this audience here today. Good people, decent people, working hard every single day, looking after their families, just hoping that maybe they can have a better future for their children. And they've been forgotten, and nobody's fighting for them. And they don't expect government to solve all their problems. They don't expect somebody else to do it for them. They know what hard work is all about. But what they do expect is, if they're willing and able to work hard, they should be able to find a job that pays a living wage. They should be able to make sure that they're not bankrupt when they get sick. Their children should get a genuinely decent education and be able to go to college even if they're not rich. They shouldn't be at risk of getting shot or mugged just crossing the street. They should have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe, and have a government that can manage our world affairs in such a way that they are more secure and not less secure, and that their sons and daughters are not sent on missions that are not designed to make us more safe and secure. Most of all, these people understand that there is a core decency to the American idea. There's a generosity of spirit in the American people. And that generosity of spirit has to express itself not just in our families, not just in our churches and our mosques and our synagogues and our temples. It's got to express itself through our government. When it doesn't do so, we get Katrina. When it doesn't do so, we get poverty. When it doesn't do so, we get ignorance. When it doesn't do so, we get division and fear. And I am running for president because I plan to put an end to that fear. And I'll put an end to that division. And I'm going to lift up the spirit of Pauline Beck. And we are going to put it right smack dab in the middle of the White House, in the middle of the Oval Office. We're going to think about her, and we're going to